I've been a busy bee.
I know, so that's when you say, I haven't done anything today. I can see what you've done.
Oh
like,
my gosh, I've spent hours on this thing. This is our new block of the month that arrived last week. Did it finally come in?
It came in.
So,
we had planned it for, I think, mid-November.
Yeah,
but
so it comes in, and Brent and you and I think it was on last week's show, said, yeah, let's start it on Wednesday.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, sure, I can make that happen. Not really, I hadn't read the patent, nothing.
Because we didn't get it.
Right. It's so cute. So here's the thing. These blocks aren't little blocks.
See, I thought it was like a little wall hanging. But I guess if I had looked at the size of the quilt, I should have figured out those blocks are not small.
Let's talk about block 1, shall we?
Yep.
Because that's all Becky has spent time on. Here's block 1.
And I'm looking at the dimensions in the bottom, which I had not looked at before.
Yes. It's not a tiny piece.
Yeah, so you can see down here.
See, 21. That's finished block size.
That's finished, so that's even like after the seam allowance.
21. It's almost 22 by 18.
17 by 20. It's the size of a fat quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, neither
I
did
know. Well, Becky had to, because the first thing she had to do was, well, I didn't have to. I enjoyed doing it. I wanted to create the cut files for it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I wanted to create the digitized embroidery for
Which
those
I know some people are very excited about the fact that you're digitizing it.
I did digitize it. It is completely, I have an SVG file. You can use it on any cutting machine. Silhouette, Scan & Cut, or Cricut. I don't know who else has other brands, but I do have a generic SVG file. I also have it all set up with a Cricut file. So if you're doing Cricut, it's all ready to rock and roll. That's what I do. But listen, here's my first quandary.
Listen, Linda.
Yeah.
Linda, listen.
This is, and you all can pipe in, because this is, this is a learning experience for me too. This is the background block. Okay. See, that was my first shocker. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's the background block. So, truthfully, if you don't want to make a quilt out of this, you've got some pretty handsome pillows.
Yeah, you can make little cute wall hangings too.
Well, now you're going to spoil my surprise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have stuck with pillows. No, you can't make wall hangings, only pillows.
Once it's digitized, you can make it any size you want.
That makes sense, yeah.
You can shrink it down 50% or whatever, and off you merely go. I know.
Even with the SPV?
Yes, people. That's right.
So you can make little tiny pillows.
You can do whatever you want because it's digitized. But we're going to talk further about it. But anyway, here's my first quandary. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to quilt this background first.
Okay.
All right? And then I'm going to do my applique. So when I go to quilt this background, because I have an embroidery machine, but if I don't, by the way, this project doesn't require an embroidery machine, you could do a nice little crosshatch background, and it would look great. Right? Everyone know what I'm talking about, the little diamonds? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But if I do that, Brent, that means that on my back, I have these expanses. Like if I stitch in the ditch afterwards, when I put my back on, is this too big a space on the back to have nothing?
Yes, because typically speaking, from just as a technical standpoint, if you ever do the quilting, on the batting package, it will usually say how wide apart you can do it. And the most...
But this will have batting on it. It's the back.
Yeah, but not just what I'm just saying. If the batting's not quilted, you check your package, because if, I know, for example, cotton is usually like around 8 inches.
Yeah.
So if you have something that's big, more than 8 inches big, and it's not quilted, that batting will shred over time. That's something to consider.
So you see my first quandary.
Yes.
So I said, I really want to quilt this before I applique.
But then how are you going to connect them all if you can quilt them to... Oh.
The same way we do with any timber belt thing. You don't quilt quarter-inch in.
Oh, and then you
leave
do.
it thin, and then you thin it, and then you throw them
And then
together.
didn't you throw another layer of batting in the back on it?
What I'm thinking, and tell me if this is ridiculous,
it's-
what if we use a thin batting
Mm-hmm.
and we quilted and appliqued the front with a thin batting,
Yeah.
like say Kimberbell's project batting, it's
Yeah.
really thin, but this is going to use a lot, so maybe you have to have something else. And then you use this thin, and then you quilted the back
Separately?
separately with a
No.
thin batting, and then you stitched them together in the ditch.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And then and then you'd have to stitch in the dish because if you don't have the two pieces
Yeah.
connected, the whole idea
Yeah.
of quilting just doesn't work.
Danny has an idea. See my quandary, people?
That's too much. What
The
if-
quilting will be attached to the background, Jean. That's true, but on the back, will it just be, it won't, because she's right.
Yeah.
Jean's saying you've attached it on the front, but the back will be like this big block.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, ugly. I like backs to be pretty. So,
Yeah, so
go
what-
ahead, Danny, because I have one more suggestion. I'm looking for people to tell me what to do.
What if you just still do the quilting, like a design,
Quilting like a design.
just the stabilizer?
Yeah, no batting.
Yeah.
And then what? Quilt it again when you put the back on.
Still do stitching with it, because you're gonna have
The
that
problem is
design.
they're this big. So again,
We'll do more than stitch in
did
the
y'all
dish.
hear Danny? She said, "How about you don't use batting on the front? You just add the design, and then batting and stitch in the ditch afterwards." And my problem is I still have too big of a piece. So you could do it on your machine.
I would quilt the background like you're saying for the blog. And then
Okay.
I would put everything together.
Okay.
And then I would go back over the top of it and just, I don't know that I do stitch in the ditch, but you could, do some,
Outline the house again.
yeah,
or
do
something?
some custom quilting around the trees and the house and all that. Well, it's easy enough to do with a Luminaire or Dream Machine, just
Not
draw
at-
and go.
No, not after you've done all the fancy
Or-
stitches. It's not easy. It takes away from the nice stitches. That's why I personally like the
Wow.
look of the batting underneath an applique, period. I like that look
I gotcha.
before it's quilted. So here's another idea. Have you ever seen those with on the back, they put the sashing pieces
Yeah,
to
hoop-
connect it?
Hoop Sisters does a lot of that.
Do they?
Yeah.
So if we did backing by the square,
Mm-hmm.
and we could basically, you're putting the back and the front together at the same time.
Yeah.
And then on the back of your quilt, you would have sashes to hide,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like window panes. That doesn't
Yeah,
come out bad.
like
Yeah.
window panes on the back.
Yeah, it doesn't come out bad.
I don't know. See, where
Or-
nobody, see?
or
That,
you-
Jean, that's what I'm talking about. The quilt as you go, I think is what
Yeah.
you call it.
Or you could
with-
just get a giant background instead of doing it a block at a time. Just do the whole thing at once. I know it's
No.
a bad idea.
No.
It sounded good when I was thinking of it, and then it's one of those when you
I'm-
start to say it out
I'm
loud, you realize how
thinking-
stupid it is.
I don't know what I'm thinking right now. This is,
It's
see,
too-
that's
it's
my
too early in the
first,
morning,
no,
yeah.
I've been struggling with this for days.
Yeah, you can't start it until you have an idea.
So here's where I'm sitting right now, is I'm sitting with, I'm going to take this front piece,
Quilt it to some batting.
I'm gonna, well, definitely, and I wanna talk about this, you definitely wanna use a product like SF101 on the back of these blocks. Because what you don't wanna do, this is a light color, and I don't care how you stitch it, do your applique, you don't wanna see anything poking through this color. So minimum, you need to use this. It'll also help stabilize it for when you do the applique. But this FF101 by Telon is a woven fusible interface. I highly recommend that it goes on here, even if you're going to do batting. Batting or not batting, because of the color of this background. I believe I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use batting, and I'm going to figure out the back as I go. I don't
What
know
I might
yet.
suggest too is if you do regular, like a thin, not select, request, dream cotton comes in what they call a requester, which is a really thin.
Thin.
So if you
So
use
it's
that,
like
yes.
Kimberell
So if
thin?
so if you use that to do your first layer,
Yep.
and then when you actually quilt it,
That's what I said.
yeah, no, but when you quilt it, use a high loft poly or a wool.
Oh,
So when you do your stitch in the ditch, whatever you decide to do, it gives it a little bit of yeah, it gives you a little
what
bit of
you
pop
can do,
and
can
give
I
you like
get
a little dimension. It would be kind of cool.
What we can do is, see the quilting on this? It doesn't go over the house and over the trees. It doesn't.
Now, does that happen after or before?
Well, I think the reason I want to do it before is because it makes it easier to do it before. I want to quilt like with my blue tiles or whatnot. If you're not, and you don't quilt it at all, and you hand it into someone like Brent, you're going to end up with, and it's not that it's ugly, I just want people to understand the difference. You're going to end up with quilting
Quilting goes over the top
all
of
over the
everything, yeah.
applique.
And sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
If you've done like the fusible applique and you're worried about stuff kind of coming off, I do have some ladies that'll come in with like those collage quilts.
Yes.
And a lot of times quilting like a collage quilt is really nice because it tacks everything down when done right. But my question on this is if the quilting
See, there's choices.
if the quilting is included in the pattern, is it?
It's not included in the pattern.
Oh, so it's not part of the.
No.
So that's excellent.
No,
Okay.
in fact, let me make this very clear.
Oh, that's true because it's hand applique.
This is
Never mind.
anybody who picks up this pattern, okay, they show you how to, it's all done by hand.
Hand applique, yeah.
It's
so
all
so
hand
the quilting
applique.
I keep forgetting that, yeah.
Well,
Are you doing that?
that's all hand done, and then, but that quilting is done by machine. So somebody went in after the fact
Yeah, and
quilted that and didn't go over the applique. Well, I'm not doing that. These are big blocks.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, this is
So-
all, see this? They show you how to do your blanket stitch. They show you how to do your running stitches.
I'm starting to understand the quandary here.
This is all done by hand, okay?
Unless you're Becky and then you digitize it.
It has been digitized with a satin
Because I know
stitch.
Bev was very excited the fact that we're going to digitize it because
It's
she was like,
complete-
I'm not doing any handwork.
Well, it's completely digitized with a satin stitch. There are some people that would like to do
A blanket stitch.
a blanket stitch around it. Danny's, I know, is one of them, which is, we're going to talk about thread. So that's an option as well. I did not digitize the blanket stitch. I'm willing to give it a try, but you have very little room for error with the blanket stitch because that piece goes down and that blanket stitch follows the edge of the piece. Now, I'm
But
still
that-
going to give it a
but
whirl
that piece has been,
because
that piece,
Never tried it?
I have tried it. I have tried it. It's a little, but even if you're doing it by hand, are you going to do it perfectly? You've got to get that
it's got to be
piece
perfect. You're going to
placed.
have it cut with a Cricut, so there's no excuse for that not to be
But
perfect.
you have to still put it down in the right spot.
Well, the line will be perfect because you did it on your machine. So
Yes.
just drop it down there,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
should be perfect.
Yes,
And it's Becky.
and I definitely would use a fusible. We're going to talk about fusible. See all
Okay.
these decisions?
Wow, we haven't even gotten, yeah.
I know.
I'm
So
trying.
when you
Have we bored everybody
You
yet with
have
these
got-
discussions?
No, I think it is what Bev is suggesting. Hey, how about we quilt it afterwards, like we did Love Notes,
Yeah.
and then we made a stamp,
Yeah.
and we went
Yeah.
around what was
Yeah, that's
there.
what I was thinking. You could do something like that.
This block is not one hoop. If you choose to do this on your embroidery machine,
You are going to have to break
there
it
are
up.
7 hoops. 7 hoops to get this block. 7.
But if you do work in sections, you could do what Bev is suggesting, where you.
I think.
Yeah.
I think you. I did not digitize the quilting. I guess is she asking me to digitize the quilting?
Yeah. Well,
I'm thinking, no, you just go buy some.
But you could.
I theoretically, yes, I could. I didn't think of doing that. I don't want to do that though.
No, but I'm thinking.
I'm going to. Here,
I would still do the blue tiles, but
That's what I'm
now I
thinking.
want to experiment because I think you could do the blue tiles
you need.
after.
I'm sick of being the only one experimenting.
After you've done all the applique, there has got to be a way that you can do the tiles and cut out the sections. Like you could. I know that there's probably a way to do it in the design center, but I'm not sure.
No, there's not.
Oh, that's true because blue tiles is.
There's not. They only, Brother lets you do that with their quilting designs. And I actually want a swirly snowflake background.
Yeah.
But if you got a JPEG, but if you got a JPEG,
Yeah,
you could import the JPEG of the blue tile, and then.
I could. Yes, this is what I just said. I could digitize the quilt background. Do I want to?
I don't. I think it'd be easier to just quilt it first and then do the applique on top of it.
I absolutely think. I like the look of the applique with the quilting underneath.
Yeah, I do too.
I think even when you're doing the satin stitches, it gives you more dimension than flat applique.
But I understand.
My
But the dilemma
But if you don't want it, you don't have to.
But the dilemma you now
Decisions.
face is after you do that though.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Putting the back on, because you're not going to put the back on before you do the applique. I mean, you could.
I don't want to.
But
it's
it,
gonna
yeah,
look ugly.
it would look awful. So how? Yeah,
So we're going to figure that one out, and it may be. I mean, the quilt is the goat theory. Yeah, and then you can quilt you can do your block.
Yeah.
Well, no, I wouldn't sandwich this when I applicate it. I don't want to see all my stitching on the back. What I'd like to see on the back, frankly, is just swirly snowflakes the whole way. That's why I think 2 layers. No, think about it. 2 layers.
Here's a thought. Here's a thought for you.
Because I want to take it up a notch.
Here's a thought for you. Do the 2 layers like you're saying.
Yeah.
And then add some embellishments, like a couple buttons or some ornaments to the trees, and that will hold your 2 layers together and give a little bit of sparkle to the rest of the block.
Maybe.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Maybe. I'm leaning
Or
towards getting
Or some
a backing, choosing my backing, and quilting it, and then choosing my front and quilting it, and then appliquing it, and then figuring out how to put them together.
Put them together. Get some sort of glue that you just.
Well, I could seam the back. We see seams back all the time. I could do the same thing and just throw them all together as seams.
Yeah.
I
We'll
don't know,
figure it out.
people.
Well,
This is going to be a fun project.
This is interesting because I don't know that we've answered any
No,
questions.
Lynn, it is not. No, you don't have to hand applique, Lynn. Lynn, okay.
Yes, no, Lynn can hand applique while she's sitting up in her cabin in the middle of the
She said-
woods,
okay.
feeling sorry for herself because her husband's lost in the woods.
Here's where I'm headed, okay? Number one, it is all digitized with a satin stitch. It is.
Yep.
It's not all digitized with blanket stitch, but that's what I want to work on today because frankly, it's all set up now.
Yeah,
So it's just a matter of changing it.
yeah.
But then I saw these.
Yes.
I saw these.
Wonderful.
These are 8-way.
Yes.
I tried to use these in my sewing machine, people.
That probably didn't go very well.
It didn't go well at all.
Because I believe 12 weight is as big as you can
The
get.
problem is, what happened is because they're loosely intertwined. I guess I don't know what the word is for thread.
Yeah.
You know, when it's plied,
Yeah.
literally it fell apart. Every time that needle went up and down.
Because it probably goes to the eye of the needle and unwinds it.
I don't know what's the word for that. Ply.
Yeah.
It would unravel.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't break, but it would unravel.
Well, yeah,
It didn't look good.
a lot of threads actually use some sort of adhesive to hold it together, but what you'll
Yeah.
find with something like this that does handwork, there is no adhesive because it takes away from the softness of it.
But those are beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and there are many times where I like having a little something to sit on the couch with my dogs. So, you know, I might do a combination. I might quilt it with my machine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely cutting it with a machine. And I might applique it on by hand.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah.
You'd be like a little old lady sitting out there watching it snow. And
We'll see.
applique.
We'll see, because I
Put it
love
next to-
these.
next to
I
your
just
knitting.
love these colors and everything, and they're so cute. And you have other colors in this
Yeah.
too, so I'm really torn on that. If I'm going to do it with a blanket stitch, I'm going to definitely go to, what is this, a 12?
12 weight, yep.
A 12 weight, or what is ortho?
40.
Yeah.
You want to do at least 40.
40.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a blanket stitch, I'm not going to use my regular Floriani
Yeah,
or 50 weight.
50 weight, yeah, 50
I'm
weight.
not. If I'm doing satin stitch, see people, you got to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing satin stitch, I'm going to use a 50.
You might want to stick to, you could stick to a 40 or 50.
Okay,
It depends
well,
it depends how much you want it to fill.
I digitized it, and I can tell you it looks better with 50.
And in some cases it
satin
does.
stitch.
Yeah, because
does.
especially for applique.
Yeah.
For
Because of
applique,
my width of how
Yeah.
close I put my stitches.
I can see for
if you go 40, you're gonna then I have to redigitize for 40 weight. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not doing this for every weight of thread.
yeah,
40 is the norm.
yeah. But I can see where with applique you want. No, but with applique, if you did 50, it's going to give you that little bit of raw edge because the fill isn't going to be as tight as you're going to get with 40.
It is. Either way, I'm going to recommend on this project, because of the size of it, that you use a fusible
Yeah.
with it.
Woven fusible back, yeah.
No, the one to under. I am going to recommend, because what happens is these pieces are big,
Oh, yeah.
and it really looks, you don't, that's my personal take on it. Normally I do not use this, but I don't normally use pieces this size.
Yep.
And I think it looked better with,
Yeah, one to under gives a
one
little
to
bit
under.
of stabilizer and keeps everything flat.
well, and it also helps if those of you just want to do straight stitches.
Yep.
Okay, because that's an option.
Yep.
You can just straight stitch out around your edges, close to the edge. This works. If you're going to do a blanket stitch on your own, this just helps tidy up the edges. Even with a satin stitch, though, I think I'm going to,
Yep.
which I don't normally do, but the pieces are not little.
Yeah, I didn't look until you mentioned that. I did not realize that
Unless-
the block is the size of a fat quarter.
It's a good size.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
No,
is.
it's the same size as a fat quarter. Fat quarters are 18 by 22.
Yeah,
And
but,
that's 19 by
but we needed
No,
extra.
no, that's 17 and a half by
We
21 and a
needed
quarter.
extra. This is a good size. It gave me enough to
Yeah.
hoop it.
Add your
That's
quarter.
not what I.
Add your, add,
Do not cut
add,
this
add your
back
quarter inch
in
for
your
seam
kit.
allowances, 18 by 22.
Do not cut this down when you get your kit. We're going to use this just as is
Yeah.
when we do it. So anyway, so that I definitely suggest one to under, or something light.
Yes.
It has to be light.
We also are going to have in Heat and Bond
Light.
We're going to have that available as well. That all came in yesterday.
Did it really?
Yeah, we got Wonder Under Heat and Bond Light and some woven fusible.
I didn't think you'd get it on
Yeah,
time.
I didn't think.
Every,
Ship it.
Yeah.
I got connections.
You got connections.
I called up Ricky and said, hey, Ricky, help me out. She's like, sure.
Ah, okay, so that's good.
So shout out to Ricky at New England Quilt Supply.
All right, because I do suggest it, no matter what. Now, the other thing you have to think, let's say you're doing it the old-fashioned way, because some people enjoy that, okay? What time is it?
What is it fast?
You got 15 minutes still
Okay.
before I'm going to cut you off and say it's time to go.
Okay, well, you know, Brent, I've been at this.
I
This
know.
is like
I'm looking
keeping
at.
me awake at night.
I'm looking at what you've been doing, and you've done a lot of work, and you haven't
See
answered the
this?
fundamental questions of where you're going to start.
This is all digitized, see? See, this is one hoop. See, I've got my hoop. Well, this is a big hoop, but that's one hooping. See? I tried to stick to 8 by 12.
Oh, but, okay, yeah.
No, I did not.
9 by 14.
I did. I thought of the Dream Machine
Yeah.
people. If somebody only has 8 by 12, well, they'll have to see me. But I laid it out for 9 by 14.
Or you can see me, and we'll get you a machine with a bigger hoop.
Yeah.
That's true. So there's a snowman. I mean, it's really crazy. Like, here's the roof. See how I had to break it all down by what would fit
Wow.
in a hooping. But it's cute, right?
It is. It looks
There's
fantastic.
just a lot. There's just a lot. The fence. So
Yep.
yeah, this is one hooping. The fence. I know.
I can't wait to see what this looks like.
Well, I did it on scraps, obviously, to make sure I didn't use my pretty tape yet. That'll be today, though. So where was I? Oh, so if your first things first is, see my little colored pencil marks?
What is it he's drawing over there? Anything
Okay.
good?
When you get your kit, the first thing you're going to do is identify what fabric goes where. I did it by using colored pencils, little crayons work too, but you want to identify what's going to get cut out of what, period. Whether you're doing it by hand or you're using electronic cutting machine. You've got to identify your fabrics. After you do that, if I'm doing it by hand, I'm taking some, now keep in mind, this is mirror image automatically. This is what I want to tell you about applique. This is important. See this diagram? Look at the cup handle, for instance. See the cup handle?
It's on the opposite side of the...
Here's the pattern cup handle. It's mirror imaged already. Why is that?
I have no idea, no, I'm confused.
Because if you take your Wonder Under or similar product,
and you're going to trace
what
it on
I'm
the
going to
back,
do is
yeah.
I'm going to find everything that, say, was made out of a brown for his hat. And I'm going to trace my brown hat. And then I'm going to trace my easel. You see what I'm doing?
Yep.
This is class 1. Then I'm going to trace my chimney. That's why I said color coordinate everything. Then I'm going to get a tree trunk. And you're going to kind of put them all together because when you get your kit, you're going to put all those pieces on this piece of fabric. It just makes it easier to find out because you have to pay attention. You have to identify, especially when you have a kit. Not only do you have to identify it, but you have to, with a cutting machine, Becky did this for you, you have to say, what's my fabric piece look like? Because I have to lay out my pieces so when they stick the fabric in, it's going to actually cut on this size fabric.
And not just randomly cut stuff off the mat.
No, you can't do it that way. Now, the other thing about this tracing thing is if you're going to do it on a scanning cut and you're not going to use anything we've provided and you're just going to do it yourself, you still have to, when you get a pattern like this, you still have to trace your pieces out one by one. In order to scan it into the scan and cut and have it cut, I've got to know this is a hat, this is a tree trunk, this is this is a that. I can't just say, scan this in. That is not going to work. My Snowman has 8 pieces to it.
But I can see where if you were to trace it on your Wonder Under first, attach the Wonder Under to your fabric, and then run it through the scan and cut, it would be very easy to just...
Except you are not going to run your paper through a scan and cut or Cricut. When you are using a Wonder Under or anything similar to that, you want to remove the paper from your fabric before you put it on your mat.
All right, so that was a bad idea.
And you
Don't
want
listen
to
to
put
me.
the fabric, no, but this is important, you want to put it fabric up when you go to cut it.
Yep.
So if I scan this in and then cut it, guess what's backwards?
Your cup
It is backwards. So what I do is indicate mirror, and then if I'm scanning it, well, this is...
I was going to say, I would get lost. I would have the most bizarre looking...
I didn't think I was, but after the show I am.
It depends on what steps you want to take.
Yeah, but I can see where the mirror image thing would just, throw me for a loop.
So I need it mirror image if I'm doing it this way.
Yep.
Which is what I call the old-fashioned way, because then you're cutting it out like this.
Yeah.
Okay, people? If I'm not doing that, then I don't want to trace the mirror image. If I trace the mirror image and scan it in, I'm getting it backwards.
Yes.
Okay?
Or you could use the mirror button and flip it.
Exactly. And it's really important to remember about the mirror. I'm telling you, you'll be on these are the things. And this is true of many applique patterns. It's just what makes it a little special.
Yep.
I know this because I digitized the whole thing, not realizing it needed to be mirrored. But I have the ability to flip it.
You have the mirror button.
It was like, boom, done. But if I had done all this
Yeah.
and then scanned it into the scan
Oh my
and
gosh.
cut, right?
Yep.
Tie them together. Oh, John, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
Tie it
that's what I'm
together.
saying.
It gives it a little...
That's what I'm saying. If you use a high loft batting instead of a...
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of old school applique patterns to rethink. I love rethinking this stuff, but whew, yeah.
So yeah. Anything
Okay,
else?
So that's, but that's, anybody who joins me today.
Yes. See, these are questions
Trailblazers, people.
Yeah, well, these are questions we're going to try
Trailblazers.
to answer today in the Frosty class.
Well,
So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this first ever morning episode
invent
of
as
Shenanigans.
we go is what it should be
I'm
called a
finding
class.
the energy to be a little different in the morning.
Yeah, I didn't get to use any of my buttons.
I need help.
That's what she said button right there.
Yeah, I need help is the problem. I need help.
But thank you all for joining us. Really, I've enjoyed. I think I think the morning's better. I like it. Like I said, I think it's got better energy.
You think it has better energy?
Yes.
I don't. Well, it's a different energy.
Yeah.
It's just low key.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's me because I'm a little more low key. But anyway.
That's because my brain is
But
pondering.
I'm really. I thank you all for joining us. I
pondering.
was worried it was just going to be us here and then.
And nobody liked us.
And everybody's going to be and everybody's going to be sleeping in like I'm not doing anything like that. But anyway.
Man, are we going to learn a lot with this?
Yes.
Do we have it? We still have some.
Yeah,
too,
we
right?
have yeah. I want to
you-
say we have 7 kits still available.
You know what I'm saying and thinking is this makes a great Christmas gift because you got month 1 available right now,
Oh yes, and they could.
and then you can say, "I bought you this,"
For
and they
Christmas.
can come in for 7, 8, 9 months, depending on how one. It's not like you can't.
It's a 7-month, but we're going to be working on it for a
No,
year
but-
because.
well, it'll get easier once decisions are made.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking you don't have to worry that you don't start it right now
Yeah.
because we'll be here.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
going to be doing it
Oh yeah.
and doing
Well, we're
it and
making-
doing it. I don't.
You start a little late, you'll probably be at an advantage because we'll have it figured out.
That's
by
what
then.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking if you started in January, it's probably a good thing. Let us screw it all up first.
So anyway,
So
it's
great
about that
Christmas
time.
gift, in
Yes.
my
So
opinion.
we do have some more available. Like I said, thank you everybody for joining us again this morning. Tune in next week at 8:30 on a Wednesday.
Hi, Carolyn.
And
Bev,
join us
hi.
again. Thanks for watching. Remember, so on.
It's
and be
not
ex-
over your head, Bev.
and
I'm
be
sorry.
excellent to each
Talking
other.
to people.
It's all right.